Headline news most affecting Abbotsford this week. ZZ Top sang it, waiting for the bus. It's coming. More wildfires in Mission, remembering they're honoring the Komagata Maru. And it's official. The PJHL graduates to Junior A. Gavin Parks will have the sports. Our guest this week includes the president of CUPE 561 on the bus strike. All right, Abbotsford, let's get started. The 124-day transit strike is over. The drivers' union, CUPE 561, made public the info late Friday afternoon. Almost 65% approved the agreement, which included a wage hike for parity with other bus drivers and a pension plan. This is a 6-year deal ending in 2026, so it's retroactive to 2020. Handy Dart services will be the first to be beefed up. News of the Week reached out to the union if they wish to comment on the agreement. With the employer First Transit, Randy Coote, president of CUPE 561, will join news director Don Lehn for an interview in a few minutes. The Hunter Hill fire started on Saturday near Mission, and BC Wildfire Service says this was human-caused. Crews and the change in the weather have suppressed the growth, and at least in the last report, it was 3 hectares. Mission Fire and BC Wildfire attended a wildfire in the Canal Lake area that was reported Saturday night. Neighboring communities were not at risk. The cause of the fire is currently unknown. Over the weekend, Abbotsford Council joined Raj Singh tour with the descendants of the Komagata Maru Society, along with partners from Khalsa Diwan Society and the South Asian Studies Institute. It is memorializing and honoring the tragic Komagata Maru incident by commemoratively renaming a section of South Fraser Way to Komagata Maru Way and unveiling 3 interpretive panels. These panels are outside the National Historic Site, Gur Sikh Temple, and highlight the humanitarian efforts of Abbotsford Sikh community who provided for passengers left stranded aboard the steamship. Houses are nothing new. On Monday, Abbotsford police confirmed that a bomb threat was received Monday morning, resulting in the evacuation of Abbotsford Law Courts, the Reach Gallery Museum, and ICBC Claims Center. Constable Art Steele, media officer with the Abbotsford Police Department, said police have found no evidence that a bomb actually existed. An inmate who was more than halfway through his roughly 4-year sentence has died in custody at a prison Pacific institution in Abbotsford. Douglas Gordon Martin had been serving a sentence of 4 years, 2 months, and 23 days since October 23, 2020. He died last Friday, according to a statement from the Correctional Service of Canada. The CSC said Martin's sentence stemmed from 2 counts of dangerous operation of conveyance, 2 counts of operation while prohibited, and 1 count of flight from a peace officer. After more than 4 decades in Matsqui Institution, a federal prison, Ed Spiedel is fighting for a compassionate release so he can die outside in a halfway house rather than in his jail cell. But after being rejected for parole and refuse an appeal, he now fears he will die a painful death struggling to breathe behind bars. Spiedel told CTV News, "My biggest fear is dying in jail. I don't want to die in jail." The 62-year-old suffers from end-stage chronic obstructive pulmonary disorder, COPD, along with chronic pain and rheumatoid arthritis. Tests show his lungs have only 19% function compared to healthy adults. He does have a legal aid through Prisoner Legal Services in Vancouver. Every year in July, the Fraser Youth Society hosts the annual Fraser Valley Pride Celebration. The 11th anniversary of Pride in the Fraser Valley will be at Fraser River Heritage Park in Mission on July 29th. Live entertainment includes drag performances and local queer talent, as well as food trucks, beverage garden, vendor booths, and more. This will be on site. This is a free event for all ages. And after the break, Gavin Parks and sports.
News of the Week continues, and we have been going through one of the longest bus strikes in the provincial history. Randy Coote is the president of CUPE 561. Randy, again, a big thank you for joining both chillTV and abbyTV on this. I know we can't get too much into detail, but how tough was this bargaining that brought us to the point where legendary mediator Vince Reddy was brought in? Was that your idea? Was that First Transit? Was that the minister? How did that come together?
Yeah, it was the minister that appointed Vince Reddy. It was originally to be a 10-day mediation, and all parties agreed that it needed an extension. So it ended up being a 6-week mediation. very thorough, in-depth mediation by Mr. Reddy, and he did a fantastic job.
The nuts and bolts of it, it was what was the big sharp end of the stick? Was it the wages? Was it the pension, or was it a 50-50?
It was both the wages and pension, the entire compensation package. Like we had said all along, that we were 32% behind the rest of the transit workers across the Lower Mainland. And even while we were in the dispute, our folks at Coast Mountain and Unifor, they signed a deal with a significant increase too that put them even further ahead. So yeah,
There's a
wages, pension.
yeah, there was a lot of criticism that First Transit is American, and did that actually pose a problem? Because there's that perception that obviously goes out in social media.
No, I mean, the problem was that we were far behind, and there was a large gap that needed to be closed, and it's a challenging thing to do in one round of bargaining. But that gap continued to grow over time, and our members had just had it at this point, and that's why they chose to go on strike to get back in line with the rest of the transit workers in the region.
A lot of people have been tripped up over the fact that it's a 6-year deal, but it ends in 3 years. Obviously, 3 years in retro. Now, is that for the wages and the pension plan? Is that to bring it all to catch up, or how is that going to work?
No, there is retro for those 3 years that we were without a contract, yes, but pension doesn't start until April 1st of 2024 with a 3.5% contribution by employer and employee, and then that goes up to 5% the next year.
How is this rollout going to work? Because as we speak, we're still waiting, to quote ZZ Top, as we did at the top of the show, waiting for the bus. We're still waiting for the bus. But a lot of people forget that you've had a fleet of buses that haven't moved for 4 months. You got to make sure they're ready. I would assume that's part of it.
Absolutely, that's the big part of it right now. I can tell your mechanics are working tirelessly overtime to get these buses ready, and that is the big piece. And there's some training pieces too. There's a little refresher when drivers haven't been driving for a while too. There's a little bit of a training piece there too. But I can tell you the employer is working very hard, and we're working hard with them to make it happen as soon as possible.
Again, there's the magic line of as soon as possible. Do we have a hard date, or is it still where you've got to wait for everybody to do the safety checks?
I imagine that the employer will be sending something out to the residents, letting them know. I think it's going to be soon, but it's really the employer's role to get that out to the residents. But it's going to be soon. We're working very hard on it, I can tell you.
The elephant in the room, though, Randy, as soon as you guys get back on the road, your drivers are going to get an earful from some of your customers. I would assume you're already prepping everybody to say, look, nod and smile, I would think.
I'll be honest with you. I think the earful they're going to get is just good conversation and interactions, because, we've had nothing but support from the member. I know you may have had some frustration, and we understand that very much. But I can tell you we have had overwhelming support from the members of these communities, and we thank them more than I can tell you. And I believe that it's the interactions that our members have missed very much so, and so I think everybody's going to be happy to have everybody back.
Is there anything I'm missing? Is there a point that you wanted to make sure that that got across? Because we really haven't been able to talk to you because you've been in negotiations.
No, I can just end it off with saying that we appreciate very much the work of Mr. Reddy and the employer and all parties getting this done. And sometimes these are difficult times, but the process worked in the end, and we've got a deal that's fair. It was a fair compromise for all parties.
News of the week, speaking with Randy Cootte, who is the president of CUPE 561. A big thank you on this. Thank you. Thanks again.
You bet. Thank you.
And you're watching News of the Week.
Hi, I'm Gavin, and this is Sports. 2 weeks ago, it was a rumor that you heard about on News of the Week. It's now official. The Pacific Junior Hockey League will join the Vancouver Island and Kootenay leagues and move from Junior B to Junior A. This will affect the Abbotsford Pilots, Mission City Outlaws, and the Chilliwack Jets. More details are expected in the coming weeks before the start of the regular season. The Women's World Cup for soccer is underway in Australia and New Zealand. With over 1 million tickets sold, the Women's World Cup could be the most attended standalone female sporting event in history, according to FIFA. Ahead of the tournament, new statistics by Casino.ca reveal which 2023 Women's World Cup players are the most searched for in North America. Chilliwack's Jordan Heidema at number 1 and Abbotsford's Sophie Schmidt at number 5. BC Football Conference starts the regular season this weekend. The Valley Huskers play host to the Langley Rams at 7 p.m. at Exhibition Stadium in Chilliwack for the Cascade Cup. Check both teams' social media for ticket information and, of course, new merch. Trinity Western University's women's hockey program will look to Peter Hay to provide new leadership in 2023 and 2024, as Hay takes over as the interim head coach effective immediately. Hay comes to TWU having spent the last 10 years at the MEI Schools hockey director and coach of the Hockey Canada Skills Academy, leading both the women's and men's programs, a role he will continue in while with TWU. And after the break, Cari with the weather.
The weather this week, yes, it's going to be back to summertime. Sunday's a little blip, but other than that, we have great temperatures coming for the beginning of August. Highs in the high 20s, 27, 28, back down to 16 in the evening so we can cool off a bit. Fact of the week, July has ended with 21.3 millimeters of rain, 19 of them happening on Monday alone, which is about half of the regular 42.5. So yes, it's been a very, very dry and warm summer so far. So remember your sunscreen, but have a great weekend.
Thanks, Cari, and thanks for watching. If you have a local news story you'd like us to report on, send us a note to news@chilltv.ca. Thanks, and have a great weekend.